Hi everybody, Diana here at Heartfelt Creative. Welcome to this week's episode of Good Gadgets. This week's episode is going to be a little bit quick because I have two things to show you that are related, and one of them is definitely for embroiderers, whether you do machine embroidery or embroidery on your sewing machine. I should say applique. Sorry, let me take that back. Definitely for applique. So whether you do machine applique like on your embroidery machine or you do applique on your domestic sewing machine, one of these tools is definitely for you. Excuse me, just 1 second. Oh, my nose is itching. Somebody's talking about me, I think. And then the other one, definitely for machine embroidery, and definitely for using when you're sewing. So there is a saying that goes something like, you should always use the right tool for the job. Very, very true. I have tried in the past to use other things instead of like the tool that I knew I needed. Sometimes it works out great and I go, hallelujah, look at all that money I saved. I didn't have to go out and buy a new tool. And sometimes it turns into a big old mess. So today I'm going to try and show you a couple things that I think are really must-haves for your sewing room. Whether you think so, that's completely up to you. Also, I want to talk in one of them, I'm going to talk a little bit about handedness. So a lot of you know, my husband and I are both science people, and my husband spent, oh gosh, 6 years, I think, studying and writing about handedness. He and I are both left-handed. I'm the only left-handed person in my family for generations and generations, but I believe it was my father-in-law who was also left-handed. But lefties always get the short end of the stick when it comes to a specific tool, scissors. I never knew that there was such a thing as left-handed scissors when I was in school. I always just made right-handed scissors work, and oh, what a nightmare. But you do what you got to do, right? And then I know, like maybe 5th grade or something, my teacher told me, Diana, you really need left-handed scissors. And I'm like, left-handed scissors? What's that all about? And it's the way the blade is cut and which side it's put on, so that when you're using the tool properly, the blade and the bevel and everything works for the left hand in that direction rather than the ones made for the right hand. So I still to this day use scissors that are made for righties. That's okay. Sometimes you just use what you've got to use. But when it comes to a certain type of scissor, I am left-handed all the way. It really improved my cutting. It really improved my ability to have success in my final project. And what I'm talking about, if you are an appliquer, you'll know what these are. Duckbill scissors. And that's the first ones I want to talk to you today. So these are for right-handed people. These are for left-handed people. You can probably instantly see the difference. For the lefty, the rounded blade, the duckbill, is on this side. And for the righties, they're on this side. And I'm going to flip the camera over right now, and I'm going to show you why it makes a difference and what that difference is. And I'll put a link in this post for the company where I finally found my duckbill scissors. Size, you can see these are size. These are longer, these are shorter. I prefer shorter, that's just me. When I work, I like to work in close. I don't like to work like way out here. But that's me. Some people like them, the bigger ones like this. When I first bought this pair, because I didn't know there was a handedness thing involved in duckbill scissors, I bought these because they were roughly the size of some of my other scissors. And I thought, oh, that would be a good size. And then when I found that they make them in this shorter version, for me, I liked it better. So that is a complete personal preference thing, whether you get them longer or shorter. Okay, so You will hear people tell you, let's back this up. You will hear right-handed people tell you, you can use right-handed duckbills when you are doing your applique. And technically, yes, you can get them to cut, but you're not getting them to cut properly. And what a right-handed person would have no idea about is that you are putting really undue stress right in here on your hand when you're using right-handed duckbills in your left hand, which can cause tendonitis. It can lead to carpal tunnel, all kinds of nasty hand repetitive stress kinds of things. So again, this is a health thing as well as a scissor thing for me anyway. So let me flip the camera and let's talk about scissors. And then the other thing I'm going to show you is also, I call them a snip, but they're also a scissor, a cutting tool. And I'll show you those when we get to them, okay? All righty. So here we are. Now you can see I hand drew, excuse me, I hand drew a really bad heart there. And I've actually sewed it. I should have sewed it with dark thread so you could see it, but I sewed it with white because I'm a little bit off my game this morning. Actually, before I show you the duckbills, I'm going to go ahead and show you the other snip I want to show you. And that's these. You've seen these before, I bet you, where you squeeze them like this. And really, in all honesty, what these are for are snipping threads, thread tails. You can see I've got thread tails here. No, you can't because it's white thread, sorry, but there you can see it. That's what these are really for. You're not really, now you could come in and with these and you could make small snips. So if you're snipping around a curve, these work great. In fact, I use these a lot because the blade is not long. It's easy on the hand because you're just pinching, right? So I use them for that all the time. I always keep, and you can tell these have, there you can see it a little bit better. These have a little bit of a curve to them. So they are great for when you go to cut thread. When you're at your sewing machine, I keep these with this straight on blade and the slight curve in it right at my sewing machine. They sit right here. Here's my bed of my sewing machine. They sit right here and I just grab them when I cut my strings or my threads. So really great. I can get right in there, snip that right off. Snip that right off. See that white thread? I'm so sorry I didn't do that in black. Oh well. And away you go. And these are great. This one, let me see if I can get the brand on here. This is called, this is by Tooltron, Tooltron. I got them at my favorite fabric shop. They're stainless steel and they've lasted, I've had them for years now, and they've lasted me really well, and I use them daily. So you can use these when you're snipping your small threads and all at your embroidery machine as well. However, one of my favorite companies in the world, OESD, I just call them the embroidery people because they have all the stabilizers and they carry isocord thread and just all kinds of gorgeous embroidery designs. They came out with a version of that snip. I'm going to bring this right up. I hope that's, can you see right there that there's a little hook in that, in this blade right here? There, you can see it better. You can see that rounded hook. What's the, why use it, right? Look it. I'm right up here on my embroidery project, and I'm just not getting in here close. Like, so with these, I can get in here pretty close, but I still have a teeny tiny bit of thread left when I use those. When I get in here with these on my embroidery project, snip, it is right there on the fabric. There's nothing left. So besides cutting close in on your threads like that, what are these for? Let's say we have a tiny little jump stitch here and I need to get under it. You could get under it with these, truly. You could kind of dip in there and get under. But with these, you just right up to it, snip, snip, and they're done. And that hook makes a huge difference. So when OESD came out with these, I bought one pair and I tried them and I really, really liked them. Now I have 4 pair because I keep them at my embroidery machine and my regular sewing machine and here on my cutting table, and I use them for everything. I do use these still all the time, but boy, do I love these with the hook. And there will be a link in the comment section or the description section where you can find these for OESD as well. But I recommend either of these for if you are a machine embroiderer. You really should have a pair of these. They're just going to make your life a lot simpler. You're going to love them. And it's because you're doing this, just a slight press with your thumb. It actually, I'm just going to grab a pair of my other scissors. It's actually much less work on the hand itself. See, every time I open and close, I'm moving all this muscle in this tendon here. So with this, just snip, 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 far less movement. So far less stress on the hand, even than with, and those scissors I just showed you are like one of my best pairs of scissors that I use all the time. But if you're an embroiderer, highly, highly recommend that you have at least one pair of these. And if I were going to gift you a pair, that's the pair I would gift you. But that's my personal preference. So now let's get back to our duckbill. So let's say I've sewn this applique piece on. It could be on my embroidery machine or it could be just on my domestic sewing machine. And in all honesty, I just zip that on really quickly on my domestic sewing machine. So let's bring in our standard right-handed duckbills. Nothing wrong with them. They're nice and sharp. The other thing I will tell you is that these are a little heavy. That's the other reason I like the smaller size for me. I have had carpal tunnel surgery on both of my hands. And so it's not a huge amount of weight, but like when I'm holding them here, I can tell that these are heavier, and you can tell there's more metal here, right? So whenever I can reduce weight on my hand or stress on my hand or movement, that's what I go for. So these smaller ones do that for me as well. But let's just look at our right-handed duckbill scissors. So when we open them up, we have what is just a normal blade on any pair of scissors. See, just like on these, that blade and that, they look pretty much the same, right? And then this is where the quote unquote duckbill magic comes from. There is this blade that is flat and round, and there's a reason for that. It's because when you go to cut your applique with these, the idea is that this slips right under the fabric, like so. Now I'm doing this backwards because technically as a lefty, these scissors go in this way. So I'm not really using that blade to its fullest, and I'll explain some more of that in a minute. But the idea, I'm going to set these how they would be normally. Your duckbill goes in underneath the fabric, and it gets right up close without cutting your stitches, but it allows you to guide your cut with this longer pointed. Now, if I were to use these as a lefty, when I came under here, look, I've got a point there that I can't see. So it's going to be really easy for me to poke through my fabric, poke my finger, and I'm not using this blade. This blade really isn't doing anything for me. It's going to cut, but the blade that's really going to be doing the cutting is this one. And I'm not going to get, you can see that on a duckbill, they're beveled on this side of the duckbill blade. So I'm not going to be using that part of the blade. And so the best I can do with this way is, yes, indeed, I can cut, but I can't get up. The idea with the duckbill is to get up really close and follow your guide. Now you're saying, well, Diana, you're up close to that line right there, but this is, look how this is going to cut. it's cutting way out here. I can't actually get it in super close. I can't manage these blades properly. But as a lefty, if I use left-handed duckbills, you can see they look the same. The duckbill is on the bottom again. And if I come in, snip up to my point, if I come in with my duckbill underneath and this blade on top, I can get up. I don't have to worry because my duckbill is guiding along the bottom seam and I'm getting up really, really close. Now, I probably wouldn't want to necessarily get up that close, but I can because I'm using these in the proper way. So here's the other thing that I was telling you about. As a lefty trying to use a righty duckbill, some people will tell you, well, turn them over like this and use them. Well, again, you're not getting, I mean, this is not right. You've got now distance under here that you have to make up for. They're still not at the right angle. The idea is that they come across at an angle that is flat, not that bows upwards. So this is not right either if you're a lefty. If you're a righty, these are going to work for you exactly how I'm showing with my lefties. But when you get good duckbills, your applique will cut out beautifully. I can get right down into the cleft there. Now this is a little goofy because my stitching was goofy there. But see, I can get right around there, super nice. I can even come down here. Now that looks like it's way out there, but that's actually my stitching line right there. I got off my drawing line. So I can come down here to where I tried to do them with my right-handed duckbills. And I can just get in there. I can even go back in now. Let's get rid of this piece. I can come back in now. I could hold this little piece with my tweezer if I wanted, or my finger, and I can get right in there and get that right off. So if you're a lefty, invest in lefty duckbills. It took me a while because the lefty duckbills I found were always like $75. These were less than 20 and they're great. I'm going to give you the link for them. I'm sure there are lots of good companies that make lefty duckbills. This is just the company I found and I really like them. So if you're a righty though, of course, use righty duckbills and you're going to get this same idea. So when you're cutting applique, these are perfect for that, whether you're doing it from your embroidery machine or your sewing machine. These are what you want for applique. And what I was explaining about the hand thing, so I'm holding these as if I was holding my lefty duckbills. But what you probably can't see super easily is when I'm holding these, this is putting a lot of pressure right here on my hand. And I can already feel the stress in this muscle and tendon right here to try and finagle these to get in and get that sewn. Whereas with this, there's no pressure at all to get in here like this. So these just aren't made for a left-handed person. A right-handed person doesn't realize that. And when they tell you to turn them over, do whatever, they're telling you what they think is best because that's what they know. But as a lefty, let me just tell you, it's really worth the investment in getting a pair of scissors that are made for your dominant hand, either hand. I wouldn't want a righty to use these. I would want a righty to use those, okay? So that's our good gadgets today. Getting the right tool for the job, and whether it's duckbills, which is mainly for applique machine or a sewing machine or embroidery machine, or these little snips for snipping those threads. And the one with that hook, the precision one, is really just a lovely little tool that I really like to use. Let me flip my camera back over. So if you have any questions about scissors and or the duckbills, how to use them and stuff, please let me know. I'm happy to show you or to give you some more information about those. I will put some links here in the bottom. I hope you enjoyed this week's Good Gadgets. We're on a roll with them now. I think this is our 5th week, so pretty good. And I know this was short today, but in all honesty, I have to run out and do the grocery shopping. So anyway, make sure you use the right tools, whether it's scissors, rulers, whatever, rotary cutters, or rotary cutting mats. That's a story I'll tell you later. I've switched my my cutting mat out this week because it was my old mat that was causing all of my blades to dull after like 12 passes with it. So that's another story though. Have a great week. See you next week for another episode of Good Gadgets. Take care, everybody. Bye now.